Have you been wondering how organisations around the world are solving plastic pollution? Or whether our individual actions are making any difference? Or even how to get something going yourself? Tune in for conversations with me, Nat, founder of City to Sea, and my inspirational guests from around the world. Hello and welcome to the December edition of Nat's Chats, and I'm very happy to have Jen Gale with me here today. Welcome, Jen.
Hello.
Hello. So Jen is the mastermind, mistress mind, the creator, the founder of Sustainableish, which for anyone who's looking to live with less plastic or to live a more zero waste life or live a more sustainable life, Jen is like the balm for anyone who's feeling overwhelmed by it or feels like they have to do it perfectly. Like, I just think you have, obviously just calling it Sustainableish, but you approach it in a really compassionate and real and understanding way. So yes, lovely to have you here.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever been called a balm before. That's lovely.
You are a balm, I think, because there can be a lot of pressure. I mean, to sort of, to live zero waste, and I think as well, when you know how severe the problem is, and how urgent the climate crisis is, and how much we're wasting in the world, and how limited our resources are, it can feel really overwhelming. And I think your approach just makes people be like, oh, okay, good. I don't have to do it perfectly. Oh, thank God for that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how you developed what you do?
Yeah. It sounds like there should be some amazing strategy, and there wasn't at all. I spent a year buying nothing new. That was how it all started, which was 8 years ago now. With the dragged the rest of the family along. The kids were only little; they were like 4 and 1 or something. And I always say, I think, and probably then I was in the same position that maybe a lot of people are now, in that you're vaguely aware of this thing called the climate crisis, but you're not sure really if you can do something about it, if it's your place to be doing something about it. Like, if the government aren't jumping up and down about it, then should we really be that worried, and can we actually have an impact, and all those kinds of things, and almost sort of looking away from a lot of the issues, like fast fashion and things, and thinking, well, it must be okay for them to do that, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be allowed to do it. And then suddenly realizing, oh, it's really not okay, but they are very much allowed to do it, and they're still doing it. And so it was a real kind of eye-opener of a year. And then this whole kind of concept, I guess, of Sustainableish has just developed. Just like, I feel like there's a lot of ordinary people out there wouldn't really associate with being greenies or eco or anything like that, but kind of feel like they want to do something, but they're not really sure what to do. And I don't know about you, but I find there's quite a lot of judgment in the eco world. There's quite a lot of I talk about the big green bashy stick. Like, you go into a Facebook group and you finally pluck up the courage to post something or to ask a question, and you get jumped on by the kind of green police telling you it's not good enough. And actually, like, this whole idea that it is, we all have different challenges and different circumstances, and our easy is going to be someone else's hard, and vice versa, and that's absolutely okay. And the important thing is that we just take that first step, because once you've done that first step, the others become easier. And you might not aspire to be a kind of non-flying, non-driving vegan who weaves their own yogurt, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean that you can't do anything. And I think that's the Anne-Marie Bonneau, who's the zero waste chef. She has this quote about, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions doing it imperfectly. And when we look at sustainability as a whole, like, that's completely true to everything, not just zero waste.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels it, and that really comes across, which I think is lovely, that you've created that space for people to do what they can and to learn. And so your book, the Sustainableish Living Guide, came out this year at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, January.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way. It's a fantastic handbook. Everything you need to know to make small changes that make a big difference. And it really is a brilliant guide for anyone who kind of wants to go into more detail about living more sustainably. You look at zero waste-ish, plastic-free-ish, sustainable-ish food, sustainable-ish fashion, family, home, work, school, travel and transport, and celebrations. And it's celebrations that we're going to be talking about today, because obviously we've got Grimble coming up round the corner. It's going to be a different one this year for many of us, but I love your crap-free Christmas guide. Jen also offers sort of boot camps and sort of trainings as well for people online of how to live more sustainably. So I thought today for Nat's Chats we'd share around 5 sort of Christmas tips each on how to have a crap-free Christmas. We're just going to freestyle it. And see how we go. So I think, well, I have written down what our top 10 are, just, have done some planning. Actually, Jen and I were mostly having a catch up, because little did you know, Jen and I actually went to school together. And then we were buddies at times when we were, as girls on and off with each other, as they can be. And then we kind of, didn't stay in touch. And then on the circuit, on the eco circuit, we came across each other and then discovered that it was us.
Isn't it weird? And then we both ended up with books out on this, like, really similar subjects at the same time. And it's just
within
mad.
like 3 months. It's really cool. I think we should definitely go back to Thorndon School and do a co-presented session of, look, kids, you could grow up to be environmental-ish. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's get back to that crap-free Christmas. Now you've got the inside info. So Jen, paper and cards, wrapping paper and cards. Give it to us.
Yeah, so the really easy one, I think, to start with. So first of all, no glitter, because we're all kind of realizing glitter is actually a microplastic, which means it's actually made of plastic. Tiny little bits of plastic can end up getting washed into the oceans and things, but it means that they're not recyclable. All local authorities, as far as I'm aware, won't accept them for recycling. So if you're still looking for wrapping paper and cards this year, then look for ones without glitter. Also look for ones that don't have that sort of metallicized sheen to them. And if you can scrunch it up, wrapping paper in a ball, and it stays in a ball, it's paper, and as long as it hasn't got glitter on it, it's probably all right to be recycled. If it unfurls like a crisp packet, then it's got plastic in it and it can't be recycled. So just thinking, when you're buying, and I talk a lot in Crap Free Christmas about, what are the things that are in your control, and a lot of Christmas feels out of our control because it's other people buying our kids stuff or whatever. But wrapping paper and cards that we're buying, we can really kind of take control of that.
Fun fact from Jen's book on this very topic: 1 billion Christmas cards end up in the bin each year.
That's mad,
1 billion.
I had to Google that because I was like, surely 1 billion Christmas cards aren't even sent. But that's so God knows how many we send. If that's how many are ending up in the bin, that's mad, isn't it?
It's crazy. And also, to add to that, I think you can get plastic-free tape, can't you? You can get like paper sellotape. The plasticfreeshop.co.uk is a great place to get sort of plastic-free wrapping alternatives. But obviously you can make your own, can't you, with wrapping paper, using like old scarves to wrap presents and make them look pretty, and reusing that again the next year.
And my kids, they get a Beano subscription. That was one of their Christmas presents last year. And so, like, I just think that'd be really fun, wrapping stuff in old. They probably wouldn't let me because they like reading. If you can find an old stash of magazines or comics or something, that'd look really nice.
Yeah. So the kids have a Beano subscription and Mummy has a Vino subscription. That would be nice. Jen is open for presents as well, by the way, if she doesn't have one already. So one of mine, so in terms of gifts, giving experiences. So this was one of my tips of, like, generally you can never really remember what someone bought you for Christmas. So it's not really memorable, but an experience, if you go and do something together, I think is. And obviously then you're not sort of, unless you have to fly somewhere, which obviously I'd suggest that it isn't an experience that involves you flying. But the experience can also be something that helps shape someone's, like teaches them something. Like it could be a half a day vegan cookery course. so they can cook more plant-based meals, or it could be like a Eurostar voucher, so they have to go somewhere by train.
Force in a nicely positive way.
Yeah, exactly. So
I did a bread making day. The family clubbed together and got me a bread making day at River Cottage one year, which was lovely.
Oh, lovely. And did you end up making more bread as a result of it?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt much more confident about doing it, and less brick-like loaves.
Nice. Yeah, the family were like, right, we can't cope with this kind of bread. I know what we're getting her for Christmas. Brilliant.
We got the kids, we went for a sleepover at the Natural History Museum, not last year, the year before maybe. Like, amazing. It's something they're always going to remember. And we slept like literally right under it's the blue whale now, isn't it? We were like literally right under its head, and it was just phenomenal. So but I think possibly people are a bit put off this year, because last year they might have bought experiences and people haven't been able to use them this year. So obviously, you know, bearing COVID in mind, I guess, with the experiences that you're buying. And I'm guessing that most experience providers now will probably put quite long dates on things.
Yeah. I just recently bought something for my brother and his wife. Spoiler alert if you're watching this, guys. But it has a 5-year
oh wow
expiry thing. So, you know, I think that's good. So your next one was crackers. You're going to tell us about crackers.
Out of the loft to show you. Actually, this year is the first. Maybe last year was just on the cusp, but there are a lot of the supermarkets are doing their own like plastic-free crackers now, aren't they? With like plastic-free gifts and plastic-free outsides and stuff, which is amazing. We've got these reusable crackers. They're from, I think it's Keep This Cracker, either .co.uk or .com, and they just sort of slot together, and you can buy the snaps to put in there. And then what we did last year was we put all the names in a hat of who was going to be around at Christmas, and everybody had to pick a name, and then you have to make that person a hat. You have to find them a joke that, you know, is kind of in keeping with the things that they're into. And then I think everyone had a budget of £2 to buy them something plastic free that would fit in this cracker as well. So it was quite a challenge, but the kids really enjoyed like having their own money and being able to go and really think about what they could buy and stuff. So that was really quite nice.
Yeah, it makes it so much more memorable and so lovely as well. We had our first homemade crackers last year, and they were just completely gorgeous, made with toilet roll.
Yes.
And there was a little like these cute little ceramic mushrooms inside it that could be used as decorations, and yeah, brilliant. So yeah, I think that's a really nice thing to do. So my next one is Christmas jumpers, which I've never really been a fan of the Christmas jumper myself. Maybe I just haven't found the right one yet. But generally, most Christmas jumpers are made of synthetic acrylic materials. So they're going to be shedding vast amounts of microplastics and microfibers when we wash them. Quite often they're just used one year and then thrown away the next. So that would be on my list, to make sure if you've got a Christmas jumper that you reuse it and you stick with the same Christmas jumper for at least the next 10 years. What do they say? You have to wear an item 50 times to make it sort of like worth the impact of it being. So that's 50 Christmases, guys. That's a lot, isn't it?
I completely agree. Like adults, you know, stick with the jumper that you've got. With kids, it's a bit more difficult because they're growing all the time, aren't they? So like some schools last year, and it's been difficult this year, will do like Christmas jumper swaps, or, do you know, like have a look in the charity shops. They are always bursting. I'm so desperate for them to open tomorrow. They are normally bursting with Christmas jumpers and things. Or even look on eBay, because you can search by, but make sure you tick the used box, you know, and then pass yours on to someone who can make use of it. There's like absolutely no need to be buying them a brand spanking new Christmas jumper each year.
Yep, great shout. So in fact, that leads on to your third tip, which is secondhand gifting. So what are your top tips for gifting secondhand presents?
Do you know, like, I find that the most difficult thing is kind of letting go of this idea of a budget that you've got to spend. Do you know, like, when my dad was alive, there's a bookshop near us, a secondhand bookshop, and I went in and I found 3 books that were about cricket, and I knew he'd really loved them. They were in great condition, and they were about like less than £1 each, basically. And so but I was like, oh God, like maybe we normally spend like 20 quid. Like what can I get him to make up for that? Like he had no idea they were secondhand. And even if he did, I don't know if he would have minded. And, so that kind of, I don't know, this it's really weird thing, isn't it, that we have around that. I mean, eBay is like, my youngest is really into Lego and Star Wars. And so he's got all these different sets he wants, most of them which aren't made now, so we've been looking for them on eBay, and our kids are quite used to the fact that Lego doesn't always come in a box and stuff like that. So I think just maybe instead of just the default being right, quick, I'll have a look on Amazon and see what they've got, can your default be right, I'll have a quick look on eBay, and if there's nothing suitable, then I'll have a look elsewhere for a new one. But just have a look first, and I think you'll be surprised by what you can find.
And then also Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. Like Facebook Marketplace has become, I'd say, kind of almost, there seems to be even more choice on there than Gumtree these days. So there is that definitely needs to be the first choice. I was given a secondhand River Cottage cookbook one year, and it was fabulous. So good shout. Okay, right, Roses and Quality Street is my next one. Are you Roses or are you a Quality Street family?
Quality Street, I would say.
Yeah, I think we are too. Now,
even though we're not close to like Nestle, are we?
No, and this is the whole thing of being sustainable-ish. Like, I think for me, it's like once a year, like doing those things that the kids just go, the kids. I mean, I've got one, but we have other family members, like myself, who actually like to eat chocolate at Christmas. So obviously you can get the ones in a tin, reuse the tin. You can even, I think, refill them at some places. John Lewis offer all the insides, so you can take your tin and get it and actually weigh them out, so you don't have to buy a new tin if you've already got 12.
And you can just get the ones you like, but that kind of defeats the point, doesn't it? There's always got to be the sad toffee pennies left at the end that you're like,
I don't agree. If I can have like purely caramels and strawberry creams and orange cream,
really,
I'm quite happy with that. So what can we do with the wrappers? So we were talking earlier, just saying that the cellophane is supposed to be compostable, isn't it, on them now?
But I've never tried it out.
Is it bioplastic? Do we know what it is yet, or is it actually like the plant-based cellophane?
So no, someone can tell us that.
All right. I'm going to commit this year to experimenting with that and putting it in hot water, seeing if it dissolves, burying it in my garden, or maybe even Googling to see what it says. Okay, back to you.
Well, you can, great stained glass window stuff, and, using them for arts and craft and bits like that. And then the bits of foil inside, if they are actually foil, it needs to be bigger than or the size of a tennis ball, doesn't it, to go in your recycling? So you need to collect all the bits of foil together, because if you just put the tiny little bits in your recycling, the machines can't detect it. So you need to clump it all together. You need to eat a lot of roses or whatever to get your tennis ball size piece of foil to put in your recycling.
That is a really good tip. So is that the case with all foil? So if you crumple up your foil from, say, a bar of green and blacks,
for example,
other organic chocolate brands are available, like Lonely. So if one crumples that up, obviously Tony's is far superior in terms of its ethical credentials. So you can't put like a ball that's like that big in the recycling. It has to be bigger.
Ideally, you need to clump it all. We've got this like random ball on our windowsill, kitchen windowsill, that just sort of waits there until it gets big enough, and then we either takes over the kitchen or we put it in the recycling.
Yeah, brilliant. That's good to know. So moving on to food then, from starting with the chocolate, we'll go more into food for sort of less waste. So maybe kind of, packaging, but also in terms of the waste at Christmas. There's some crazy statistic around how many turkeys get thrown away at Christmas.
I should have checked this. It's something like, it's in the book, I think.
2 million.
2 million. So they couldn't 2 million turkeys. So that's obviously not people lobbing whole turkeys away, hopefully, but
No.
you know, like by the time you've kind of put too much on your plate, or you're bored of it by the 28th or whatever. So I guess thinking realistically about the size, if you are getting a turkey, we're actually just going for an organic chicken, because none of us really like turkey. Well, I don't really like turkey, and I'm cooking it, so I'm going to make sure I enjoy eating it. You know, ordering a sensible size, making sure you've got a plan in place for leftovers. And with all leftovers as well, I think something like 5 million Christmas puddings end up in the bin. So, you know, if nobody likes Christmas pudding, don't buy it. Think of something else you can do. And you know, maybe having a meal plan for that week of Christmas itself, so that you can think about how you're going to factor in leftovers. You can think about, like, oh, actually the day that you're all, if you're in a bubble and you're allowed to go out and meet up with people, and you're going to be out for, you know, and you're just going to want to come back and pick at stuff, just being really aware of who's going to be around to eat what, I think could be quite important.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip, because it can be that sort of like, let's go mad, and then we remember that we've actually only got, you know, 2 families this year, or
yeah, exactly, yeah,
3 people in our bubble. So maybe we can buy less this year. Cool. So I think I'll add to that and just say, in terms of buying organic, if you can, like so getting a veg box delivery is one way that you can get your organic vegetables delivered with less plastic, sometimes plastic free. And then if you are only eating meat occasionally, if you're flexitarian, as I am, I generally say if you're eating a lot less of something, then generally you can then afford to pay more for the quality of the meat or the food that you do buy. So if you can, opting for something that is organic, obviously then just to protect the biodiversity and protect the soil, as well as organic farming is one of the best ways we can protect the soil. Your last one, trees, Christmas trees.
Yeah, there's always this massive debate.
It's
I don't think
huge.
anyone probably talks about it other than people like you and me, but about, you know, what's the best Christmas tree, what's the best thing for the environment. And my understanding is, if you already have an artificial tree, keep it and use it for as long as you physically can. If it's still in good nick, but you for whatever reason decide you don't want it anymore, like pass it on to the charity shop, you put it on Freegal, whatever. Because, you know, an awful lot of resources and plastic and oil has gone into making that, and it's just going to sit in landfill. So if you've got one, keep using it. If you haven't got one and you're thinking about what to do this year, the greenest option for a real tree is to try and rent one. But you're probably out of luck now, because I think they all rented out within you know, weeks of going on there. And I'm not sure that I think there's ones in London and around the big cities, but I'm not sure how accessible they are for people a bit further out. If you can get one, if you've got somewhere to put it, get one in a pot that you can, you know, keep outside during the year.
Don't forget to water it in summer.
Yeah, I would probably kill it. Yeah. And if you do get, you know, one that we all see by the, you know, the netted ones that have been cut and stuff, try and find one that has actually been grown locally. Because I don't really think about where the Christmas trees would come from. You think, oh, well, I'm going down to the local farm shop or whatever, but actually I don't know, they might have imported them from who knows where. So just asking those questions sometimes can be quite interesting. And then actually we made, during our year buying nothing new, we made a Christmas tree out of egg boxes, and it was horrific.
Wow.
I'd gone on Pinterest and I'd looked and found this really glorious one. I was like, yeah, we can do egg boxes. We can, so like put a thing on Free Cycle for everyone to give us their egg boxes, spent like, you know, evenings painting egg boxes green, like bearing in mind the kids probably weren't sleeping through at this point, and I'm painting egg boxes green, stacked them all up, and I cried. It just looked so underwhelming. So that's one idea for an upcycled one you might not want to do. But now we've got one made out of pom-poms that we've made. I can share some pictures for you to share with this, and we've also got one that the kids made with my husband out of a pallet, which is really gorgeous, and he's like drilled holes and poked the fairy lights through. So an upcycled one that you can use each year is a good idea as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. If anyone's in Bristol, again, it might be too late by the time this goes out, but we've got something called Refuge REF. Refuge trees. It's actually quite hard to say. Refuge trees. So you buy your Christmas tree from a charity which is supporting refugees in Bristol, which is another lovely thing to be able to do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, it was a particularly hot summer this year though, and my tree, which I'd had for 3 years, was over. I'm going to totally blame my partner for this. It was over in his back garden, and it died. So sadly, I'm going to get another one in a pot this year.
Yeah.
Brill. Well, that is.
Is anyone keeping count? How many have we done?
It was 9. I was going to try and say that was it, and then I thought, no, someone will get in touch and say that was only 9. So the last one I think is more like, if you are traveling to see family, and you want to travel more green this year, you can still look at taking the train. Or the alternative could be that you rent an electric car. So you actually could try out car hire this year, but go electric.
And what a great way to kind of try out electric cars as well, and to see if you get on with it and to see if you like it. And I think, I mean, we've got an electric car and I love it. And I just think once you've driven one, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's really
yes. Nice. What kind have you got?
We've got a Kia e-Niro.
E-Niro. Nice. Good. And you're converted.
We've had about a year to wait for it. And I think the range is nearly 300 miles.
Wow. That's
brilliant. It's lovely.
Yeah. So I've been kind of writing recently about car sharing as a sort of as a way forward. For particularly, I think it's harder for people who are living more rurally. But if you're living like in a city, as I am in Bristol, actually car sharing is a brilliant option rather than car ownership. So hopefully we'll see more and more schemes like that coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think maybe we'll just end on gifts. I mean, I've obviously wafted this around a fair amount of times.
You've got one to plug as well.
I've got one. Yes, everybody knows my book as well. So yes, this one, Sustainableish Living Guide by Jen Gale, is available through Hive, which is a fantastic online bookstore which donates money to local independent bookshops, and through other online shops as well. And a Chili's bottle. I will always mention the Chili's bottle because it's an amazing gift for someone. It lasts for, I mean, a good 10 years unless you lose it. Keeps things hot or cold. Great for wine in the summer.
Not that you'd know.
Yeah, I definitely know.
Mulled wine. I reckon. Could you put mulled wine in there?
You could even put mulled wine in it, but it keeps things really hot. So you can't just kind of like chug it back. But they do a coffee cup as well, which would be perfect for mulled wine. And so these cost £20, but £10 of the refill ones go straight to City to Sea to power our campaign. So that's why I recommend that as a top Christmas present. Jen, anything else you'd like to say, or any other points that you feel we've missed, or just, where people can come and find you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Christmas is making sustainable-ish or sustainable changes is hard any time of year, or can feel difficult. Christmas is a really hard time of year to do it because it's not just changing your own behaviours. It's, your wider family, your friends and things are involved as well. And if you've been on a journey this year that they're kind of probably not aware of, especially if it's wider family, just bear in mind that can be quite a shock for them if you're suddenly kind of all full of this eco zeal this Christmas and things like that, when previously you haven't sort of even mentioned it maybe. So just, kind of pick your battles, go for the low hanging fruit. Maybe just pick 3 things you can change this Christmas. It doesn't, you're not going to change Christmas, turn Christmas on its head, if you still want your family talking to you all in one go. So really think about the things that are in your control. Really think about, the easy, low-hanging stuff you can go for. And just remember, it's supposed to be a fun time of year as well.
Yeah, lovely advice. Thanks, Jen. So Instagram and Facebook, you're very active on Facebook with your communities as well. And I think if people want to connect with you, where would be the best place for them to find you?
So I think I'm at Sustainableish on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. I've also just started the Knackered Mums Eco Club. That's an annual membership, but I've also got an Instagram page and a Facebook page. And there's a big Facebook group if people are interested, which is Sustainableish with Jen Gale, which is hopefully a nice non-judgmental place to come and kind of dip your toe in and find out some things.
No big green bashy sticks there.
No, we try to make sure they're left at the door.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you for coming on Nats Chats and talking to us. I'm sure our viewers and watchers will have enjoyed getting all those tips for a crap-free Christmas with you. And all the best for next year. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's 1st of December. Is it all right to say Happy Christmas?
Yeah, you can do. This won't be going out till mid-December anyway. So.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
Thanks, Jen. You've been listening to Nats Chats. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.